Welcome to our special here on the First TV, mass deportations and scripture. First, let's give a lay of the land. We have a lot of illegal aliens in America right now. We don't even know how many. There's estimates from 11 million to 20 million. We know that there were 10 million encounters at the border during Biden's term. They say that maybe 3 million of those people were let in, but that doesn't include people who with overstayed visas. It doesn't include people who came here legally under the parole program or through the CBP One app, which is like legal, but like not really. So we have no idea how many legal aliens are in America right now. You can just make up a number, maybe 30 million. But we know we've never seen anything like this before. So the question is, how do you get 20, 30 million people out of here? If we did it in a year, there'd be 82,000 people a day. That's a ton of people, especially when there's only something like 5,000 or 6,000 ICE agents who are actually on the street to capture and arrest and deport these people. So you can't do it. It cannot be done by capturing one at a time, block by block. You can't do it. And yeah, you could go after workplaces where maybe you can get more than just one at a time, but it's not enough. So what do? Well, fortunately, we have some historical precedent here to show us at least what happened once before. Now, don't get mad at me about the name of this operation, okay? I didn't come up with this. It's a historical fact here. It was called Operation Wetback. 1954, President Eisenhower, with only 750 border agents. That's it, 750. Deported 1.1 million illegal aliens. This is at a time there were a lot of farm workers coming up from Mexico. They were paid about half of what they paid American farm workers. And local officials looked the other way and were paid to look the other way as well. And Eisenhower said this is no good, so he tagged his old West Point classmate to head immigration enforcement. This would be Eisenhower's version of Tom Homan. His name was General Joseph Swing. So his very first job, there he is right there. His very first job was to move all the corrupt officials who were at the border away from the border, right? Change all the personnel because everyone's either corrupt or broken, not working. Second, we get sweeping. In 1 month, 750 agents caught 50,000 illegal aliens and 488,000 left on their own. Self-deportation. It's amazing. 10 times as many people self-deported. We're going to need those numbers or more right now. Now, there's a couple things they did. One thing they did is they didn't just deport people, meaning they didn't just drop them off in Tijuana. They would put people on buses and trains and even ships and send them deep into Mexico. Some of the ships would go all the way down to Veracruz. And you say, where's Veracruz? Veracruz is the southernest tip of Mexico that you can get to in the Gulf of America. And we would drop them off there. It's a long way back. Like if you lived on the border of Mexico, it's a long way back home. So they made it very uncomfortable during the deportations. And what this did is not only did it cause people to self-deport, but people knew that if they got across, it wasn't going to do them any good, and I don't want to get on that boat again. So it cut down majorly on the people who were coming across. We have a chart here, and you can see the numbers spike, and then as soon as we had proper enforcement, there's Veracruz. It's a long trip. There's the numbers up, and then right back down. And we're seeing the same thing right now in America, but we got to get people to leave. By the way, Walt Edwards was one of those border agents, one of those 750 border agents back in 1954, and he did an interview back in 2006. And he said, some say that we cannot send 12 million illegals in the United States. This is 12 million back then, back in 2006. They say we can't send them back to where they came from. He said, of course we can. Another agent, or this wasn't during 1954, he was from 1960 to 1973. He said that if Swing and Ike were still running immigration enforcement, they'd be on top of this in a minute. But we finally do. We finally have our versions of that. Now, we have a carrot and a stick situation here. Trump has recently proposed $1,000. We'll give you $1,000. You're an illegal alien and you self-deport. When you land back in your home country, we'll give you $1,000. Now, I heard that and I thought, well, that's not enough for people to take it. Because I'm putting myself in the shoes of an illegal alien. And I'm thinking, well, what's the worst that can happen if I just wait it out here in America? What's the worst that can happen? They capture me and send me back to Honduras? Okay, whatever. I'll just wait. It's not worth $1,000 for me to pack up everything and leave. I'll just stay here until they get me, and they'll never get me. Now, I think that'd be most illegal aliens' thought process. That's the carrot, not a big enough carrot, but that's why it's a carrot and a stick. Because the stick is, if we capture you, not only are you not ever allowed to come back in legally ever again, but if we capture you, we're not going to send you back to your home country. If you're from Honduras, we're not going to send you back to Honduras. We're going to send you to Rwanda. New York Times, Rwanda in early talks with the U.S. to take expelled migrants. New York Times. So imagine you're someone in Honduras and you're thinking, well, why would I go back to Honduras on my own when I can just wait and maybe they'll send me back there? Okay, big whoop. Okay, well, now imagine you're someone from Honduras and it's not, maybe I'll get back sent to Honduras. It's, I'm going to get dropped off in the jungles of Rwanda. Now look, there's Africa, just in case you don't know where Rwanda is, because I didn't. That's not good. You don't want to go there. So now that $1,000 is looking pretty good, actually. So it's looking pretty sweet. And then I can go back to Honduras. Way better than Rwanda. So we got lots of options here. If you're an MS-13 gang member, we'll send you to an El Salvador prison. Right? If you're an illegal alien who's just like a regular run-of-the-mill criminal, maybe we'll send you to Guantanamo. If you're an illegal alien that we don't want here and your home country won't take you, maybe we'll send you to Alcatraz. And if you're an illegal alien, maybe we'll send you to Rwanda. I don't know what the worst of them is. What are the worst of those options? I don't know. A quick sidebar, this would actually be great for Rwanda, right? I've been told my whole life that diversity is our strength. So maybe what Rwanda is lacking is some diversity. I don't know, maybe if we gave them some aliens from all around the world, maybe they'll soon become a thriving nation one day. Right? Maybe that's what they need. They need Hondurans. Hondurans are hard workers, we're told. So bring over the Hondurans. Bring over the Chinese. Bring over illegal aliens from all over the world. And Rwanda will be such a diverse nation, and it'll make them so much stronger. We'll send our engineers. Remember Michael Moore? He said early on in the Trump's term, he said, we're deporting people who could cure cancer one day. The 9th grader who's going to stop the asteroid that's going to hit us. Oh my goodness, that'd be terrible. If we send them to Rwanda, then Rwanda will be thriving. Maybe Rwanda will beat us to Mars. If we're going to send all these engineers from Honduras, Trump's buddies with Mark Burnett, maybe we can drop off these illegals in the jungles of Rwanda and film it. Naked and afraid, Rwanda. First one out gets citizenship. Point is, we need a carrot and a stick to get illegals to leave. And if you leave right away, maybe one day you can come back in. People are afraid. We talked to Brandon Darby coming up in a little bit. He's in charge of our Breitbart's Border Chronicles. He's amazing. He knows all this stuff. And people are leaving. Breitbart ran a story the other day about Cinco de Mayo and all these other festivals and parades that are being canceled. People are afraid. Finally. It's about time we have a leader who looks out for Americans first for a change. Brandon Darby is here. He's the director of the wonderful Breitbart Border and Cartel Chronicles project. No one does more and does better than Brandon. Good to talk to you, brother.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Let me ask you, why do you think it's important that we take great effort to remove illegal aliens from our country?
Well, I think that, as a Texan, as a agricultural person, there tends to be a culture where we accept the people who are here actually working on farms, or we accept, but that's not the situation that we're in any longer. We're in a situation where millions of people per year are coming into our country. Oftentimes they are mothers with a number of children, right? Which is, again, I have deep compassion for people. I understand why people come. But obviously that is unfair to other people in our country who need resources and need help getting ahead, who are mothers and have lots of children. But a lot of times the people who are coming are not just workers, are not just mothers. They're bad people. They're people who are criminals. They're people who are coming from El Salvador, who are covered in tats, right? Who we might call a Maryland father, but who obviously has some criminality and some real issues. So it's, overall, it's just unfair to U.S. citizens, especially U.S. citizens who are on the bottom economic rungs, who are struggling. It takes resources
Do you,
away, and the numbers that started to come are just unsustainable.
do you think it's possible that people self-deport with just the carrot and not a stick as well?
Yes, I do. I think that there are a lot of people who are self-deporting, from what I understand, realizing that, getting deported, getting forcibly deported can really impact the future, yeah, for you. It can impact your ability to get asylum or to get, um, to get legal documentation in a coming administration. So I think that a lot of people are trying to um, a lot of people are trying to leave, realizing that they don't want the paperwork generated. They don't want the records of them being forcibly deported, or that they were even here in some cases.
How dangerous are the cartel operations in America throughout the country, not just at the border? Most people don't see it or live it every day, but how do you articulate it?
Well, I mean, how dangerous are they? Like, how many people watching have, on one hand, you have, uh, how many people watching have loved ones or know of a family who has a loved one who has overdosed on fentanyl when they didn't even realize they were doing fentanyl. I think that almost everyone watching has either had a loved one or knows someone who's had a loved one who has died of a fentanyl overdose in the last decade. So there's that level of danger. And then you go all the way to the other side, which is someone in my situation. Um, there's a cartel boss I really want to report on, and I am reporting on. And I think that my team, not just my voice, but the voices of my team members, are the only ones really, calling out the fact that the largest, as much as Mexico's trying to cooperate and going after certain cartels, the largest cartel boss in Mexico, his name is El Mencho. Um, I've detailed his relationships with people on the presidential cabinet, his current relationship with the Secretary of Defense of Mexico, the closeness, alleged closeness between the current president, and El Mencho's attorneys, right? His legal apparatus. He's being protected, and the U.S. is largely not going after him because Mexico is slowing us down. So we call him out. Do I feel safe doing that? I can tell you that I'm very measured in how and what I'm doing. There's a lot of things that, I'm currently uh, in talks with attorneys and with Breitbart leadership about the safety of me revealing certain things and writing certain things about this cartel boss. So at the point that US journalists have to be concerned about their well-being and the well-being of their families if they use their freedom of expression and freedom of the press to write about somebody, how dangerous are they? I'd say they're pretty dangerous.
Trump said that the president of Mexico is so scared of the cartel she can't even walk. She can't say what she wants to say or do what maybe she wants to do. So is that too generous to the president? Is the president like a victim here? Or like she wishes she could do more but can't? Or would you say she's more involved than that suggests?
Um, so time will tell. Usually we find out, several of the most recent presidents of Mexico have later been revealed to have financial ties to cartels. Usually the Sinaloa cartel. Um, you know, Time will tell. I can say that this president seems to have done a lot. I think she's probably the most likely scenario because that's what we have to operate under right now before we have more information. The most likely scenario is that she realizes she is running a country with over half of its 32 states under the actual control of these paramilitary transnational criminal groups that have rocket launchers, have armored vehicles, have thousands in their armies, right? These are groups that when the federal government wants to go after someone, they can't just send a couple of agents or 10 agents to go and knock on their door in the morning. They have to send in their Marines. They have to send in armored divisions to go in. And sometimes when they do, their helicopters, the government's helicopters get shut down, their armored vehicles get blown up. They're using drones like they're Russia and Ukraine. This is what Mexico's dealing with. So this particular president, I think that she is just pragmatic and realizes that in order to function and run that country, she has to have some people on her administration who are in fact connected to drug cartels, or else she can't run the country. It would go from being where it is right now, which is listed as a fragile state, to being a failed state. And it's a touchy situation because it is fragile, right?
So I've read, correct me if I'm wrong, that in this last election in Mexico, 37 politicians were assassinated. But then I read the number 60 if you include maybe other political leaders that maybe weren't running, but they were heads of party or whatever. So if that's true or anywhere near true, that's crazy. But there's no way a president could become president if you didn't have the cartel support, right?
Correct. It would, but see, again, the cartels. So
Yeah.
what has happened in Mexico recently, and if you look at the very bold steps that the president took in Mexico, again, not on her own volition, but under pressure from the Trump administration, right? Economic pressure. She deported, well over 25 wanted fugitives who the U.S. wanted, many of them cartel bosses, not all of them cartel bosses, but some of them were very significant cartel bosses. However, they were all incarcerated cartel bosses, and they were also cartel bosses who, for the most part, ran regional cartels that may have a lot of state government power, but don't have a lot of federal power, like Los Zetas or the Gulf Cartel. The Sinaloa cartel's breaking up. CJ&G, which is this guy Mencho I talked about, he splintered away from the Sinaloa cartel. He's a competing cartel, now the largest in Mexico. The Sinaloa cartel is factioning and breaking up and fighting each other. So yes, this president is going after the Sinaloa cartel, but really by going after the Sinaloa cartel, which is the main rival for CJ&G and El Mencho, it's really just it's almost like she has her country, her military, and the U.S. government doing El Mencho's dirty work, taking out his rival as he is
Mm.
protected, right? So it's a very tricky situation that's going on right now in Mexico.
Yep. I got about 2 minutes. Last question. I was reading some analysis from some think tank, it doesn't matter. And they were asking about if America took military action ourselves, or maybe with the government support, we send Marines in, or if we send our special forces in. The whole point of this think tank analysis was what type of retaliation would the deeply embedded cartels in America do? And one of the things they listed is that they would be able to and would kill the families of our special forces, presumably here in San Diego. Is that a thing? Is it possible? Would they ever do
I
that
mean,
if it became desperate enough?
that's not what action in Mexico would look like. The only time that you're going to see U.S. Special Forces and you're going to know about it is if the U.S. government is doing it to make a statement. If the Trump administration is trying to make a statement, you'll see that. That's not what it looks like. What action in Mexico looks like is our intelligence community, different players in our intelligence community pay people in Mexico. They give them money and they give them the promise of U.S. citizenship for them and their families to kill somebody or to take somebody for us. That is what it looks like, right? So it's not going to be U.S. blood, U.S. person doing these raids. It's going to be people in Mexico, right, who are military members or others who are doing this. It's going to be members of a rival cartel or his own bodyguards who want to remove him who are doing this action. It's not going to be like that. So when think tanks do that and they say things like that, the first thing I think is they obviously don't know how this really works. We are already in a situation where the U.S. government has obviously worked with rival cartels to take and apprehend certain cartel fugitives. We're already in a situation where that occurs. It's using local people. Like Mexico is not, the Taliban or something. It's not devoid of people who care, who are good people. Their
Mm.
government and their military is not devoid of good people who can be incentivized to do the right thing under a really stressful set of circumstances. Do I think that if the cartel could identify our special forces and kill families. And I think various cartels could. Do I think that they would? No, I think that especially with the most ruthless cartel in Mexico right now, CJ&G, El Mencho, I think that they have no idea what the full weight of the U.S. government being focused upon you looks like. And I think if they felt it and tasted of what we are and what our government is capable of doing once it actually clamps its jaws around you, I think that things would change very quickly. So I don't, as a solo journalist, am I careful what I'm saying right now? Am I weighing? Am I, generally the way that we stay safe is we know that they know if they do certain things to us as U.S. journalists, then they have to worry about the U.S. government clamping down on them. Well, if the U.S. government is already clamping down, we no longer have any leverage, right? Like it's like now,
Mm,
what keeps them from going crazy on me if I reveal too much about him or his location or other things that we're considering doing, which are pretty bold things. But yeah, there you go. What keeps him from
yes,
doing that if he already has the U.S. government clamping down, right? Well, nothing
yes,
does, right? So what can these murderous guys with billions of dollars do? Well, they can do whatever they want. What are they likely to do? That's a different story. So I don't think that we're in that situation. I think that U.S. action in Mexico looks like the U.S. government paying someone, um, uh, promising someone or a group of someone's so that they take action, get that person into U.S. custody through covert means or to our border, and the possibility is there that there's a that tomahawks are used to get this guy if he gets
yep,
himself in a remote enough area and if we can track where he is. But I don't see any situation where there would even be a need to actually send our special forces to go get this guy. um, I don't see where that would really be needed uh, in the current
yeah,
context. It's
that makes
possible,
sense.
maybe,
Yep.
but I don't think it's likely.
Brandon Darby, much more to come, director of Breitbart's Border and Cartel Chronicles Project. Brandon, stay safe. Great to talk to you, brother.
Thank you.